Guys, welcome to my channel. Now Marc Jacobs has reformulated its eyeshadows now, and they came out with eyeshadow palette. These are called the Iconic multi-finish eye palettes, and these are 7-pan eyeshadow palettes. As you can see, there are the shades with the names, and then these retail for $49 each. So $49, if you break it up by 7, so you pay $7 for each pan. Now you get 0.03 ounce of product in each pan. Now that I wouldn't call that a full size eyeshadow because MAC, for reference, MAC's eyeshadow single pans for full size singles, you get 0.05 ounce of product, and Urban Decay also get 0.05 ounce of product. So this is like a 0.03 ounce of product, but again, this is like a palette, so usually you get more number of products for less quantity as well. So this is a palette, so you probably shouldn't hold it against them. And there are like 6 eyeshadow palettes that they have. Hang on, let me just see, 6 or 7, I'm not very sure. Yeah, they have 6, and I picked 2 out of them, out of the 6. I have Provocouture, which is 710, which is like a pink palette. And then let me just quickly show it to you guys. This is a pink palette, and then I have Smartorial, 760 Smartorial, which is like a blue palette. So yeah, now their marketing idea behind reintroducing these newly formulated eyeshadow is that they said that Marc Jacobs derived inspiration from various fabric finishes like velvet, satin. Then they also say, what else? Lame. I think it's velvet, silk, and lame. So they also say there's a small instruction kind of a thing on the product page of Sephora, which says highlight with velvet, blend with silk, and then pop with lame. But the problem is you have like the shade names at the back, but they don't tell you which shade is what finish, which is puzzling to me because they have left instructions and everything. And also the way they introduce these eyeshadows is because they said that Marc Jacobs derived inspiration from all these various fabric finishes, but they don't tell you which eyeshadows which finish. And they have also instructions left, what's that? Highlight with velvet, and blend with silk, and pop with lame. Now people are not going to follow these instructions, but if someone who's like new to makeup buys this product and they want to follow these instructions, how would they know which shade is which finish? I think it's like common sense, and they've just completely missed it. How did they miss it? It's just, I don't know, maybe they just forgot to name which eyeshadows which finish. I've just looked everywhere, but it just, even at the back of the box, it says 4 fashion finishes, which is velvet, satin, silk, and lame. It doesn't say which shade is which finish. I think they should have mentioned it. How did they miss it? Anyways, let's get into the swatches of these 2 shadows. And I do have like thoughts on the performance of these eyeshadows. So let's get into the swatches. Now this is Runs the Show, which is like, I don't want to hold this up because it does come with a mirror, and I don't want to blind you guys. This is Runs the Show, which is like, obviously they don't tell us which eyeshadows which finish, so I don't want to like, I don't know, say the wrong finishes. So I'm just going to use the usual, just my assumption as to what finish this is. This is like a very satin finish. It doesn't have a lot of shine to it. At the same time, it's not matte. That's why I'm saying satin. And this is like a gray color, which is very, very pretty. And that's called Runs the Show. And then next is They Know Who, which is like actually a very, this is a metallic finish. And it's actually pretty metallic and also very pigmented. I didn't need to build it up at all. And this is like a very olive toned silver. It's very dirty. It's not like a stark silver on my skin tone. It actually complements my skin very much. That's the shade that I have in the inner corners of my eyes. So that is They Know Who. And I'm swatching the Smartorial palette, FYI. And then you have the shade 4-1s, which I don't know, it's in between these two shades. It's not very satin, but at the same time it's not very foiled as this shade. I don't know what finish is that, but so it's a beautiful peacock green. It's very beautiful. It actually is very pigmented. I do not need to build it up at all. And then you have Make Sure, which is like a beautiful peacock blue, like a blue teal. Do you see how beautifully pigmented that is? I did not need to build it up at all. Just wear one small dip in the pan, and it just deposits full pigment. And this is Make Sure, and this is not like a straight up matte. It has like a very blue micro shimmer, which complements, which is the same as the eyeshadow shade, which actually is very pretty. And then you have Power Platforms, which is that beautiful teal color that you saw. Now it's not as vibrant as you see in the pan, but once it comes in contact with the skin, it kind of deepens and it kind of darkens. So it doesn't, let me just show it to you for reference, how vibrant it looks in the pan, and in person it looks even more vibrant. But once it touches the skin, I feel it's kind of darkens, and so yeah. And this again is a very pigmented eyeshadow. You do not need to build it up at all. It's crazy pigmented. And that is a matte, by the way, just completely matte. It didn't have any shimmers or anything. And then it's In Doubt, which is like again a silver. I feel they've just added two kinds of silvers. They could have just gone with something else, maybe like an olive green or something, I don't know. But this is just a straight up silver. This has olive tones, but this does not. It looks very stark on my skin tone. And then this again is a very metallic finish, very foiled like this. And then you have, finally, you have like a straight up matte, which is which is very pigmented definitely, but I feel this is, this kind of looks ashy on my skin tone, so I don't think I will use this as a transition shade or a shade to blur out the edges or harsh lines. If I have harsh lines when I'm blending, I don't think I'd be able to use this for that. Probably just to highlight the inner corners of my eyes. Now let's move on to Provocouture. It's the pink palette, and let's get swatching. Now let's do In Bed. This is bed. In Bed, I'm sorry. This is like a beautiful hot pink, and it's very pigmented. Now this shade, when I first applied, this is the shade I have in the outer corner. Do you see it? It was actually very vibrant when I first applied it, but I feel it has faded away. And I've been wearing this eye look for 6 hours, and I don't think 6 hours is that long, and I don't think it should fade away. And I did use an eye primer underneath, so it looks pretty, but for a short while. And it is also very pigmented. I didn't have to build it up at all, but it deposits a lot of color, but it definitely fades away. And then next is Just Say, which is like a, I don't know, like a satin finish. It's like a beautiful cranberry pink shade. This is actually very pigmented. I didn't need to build it up as well. It's very pigmented. And then this shade is like a crazy pigmented shade as well. It's a black with gold shimmers throughout it. It's very pigmented. It's like scary pigmented, meaning if you're not careful, you can actually mess up your eye look. It's actually very pigmented, guys. You need to be very careful with this. Then comes You Might, which is like a purple mauve shade, which looks very attractive in the pan, but I feel when I pick it up in the shader brush, and when I'm trying to pack it on my eyelids, it kind of crumbles and shears out. Do you see? It's not very pigmented. And no matter how much I build it up, there's still a sheer aspect to it. This eyeshadow, this shimmery eyeshadow. So it's not my absolute favorite. And then you have Otherwise, which is a straight up matte shade, which is a mauve shade. Just disregard this swatch. some more shade, which is actually very pigmented and makes a beautiful transition shade. I know it doesn't look very dark in the pan, and it looks like it might look ashy on my skin tone, but it does not. It's actually really nice. And then you have like a baby pink matte shade, which again doesn't look baby pink on my skin tone. It just looks like a very white eyeshadow. It's a matte eyeshadow and it does look ashy and it's pretty pigmented. Then finally you have like a very pigmented baby frosty pink, which looks just white on my skin, but it is a good shadow. I didn't need to build it up at all. It's very good. So these are the swatches. So my thoughts on the performance. These retail for $49, which definitely is on the pricey side. And of course, the reason being this is Marc Jacobs, this is like luxury brand. But I feel the shimmery shades, whether it's shimmery shades or matte shades, when you're packing it on, these are crazy pigmented, so you would not encounter any problem. But I feel when I mix two matte shades in my crease, I feel it turns muddy and it gets very difficult for me to blend them. Now I have these two shades in the crease, and as you can see, I expect these two shades to blend together and bring a new shade of blue, like a beautiful blue shade. But I feel it's kind of turned muddy, and it just, all I see is this shade, and I don't see the shade, and it's just, I took more time than I usually do to blend these eyeshadows out, these matte eyeshadows. And also I feel if you want to use pick a shade to use in the crease, just pick one. I feel if you mix more shades, like two or more than one shades, I feel the look in the crease, especially, I'm just talking about the crease, it kind of turns muddy. But all these shades are beautifully pigmented, so they would perform fantastic on the eyelids. But if you want to use these shades in the crease, my advice is just pick one. I don't know how it might look if your makeup skill is like very good. I have very mediocre makeup skill, so I just can't work with these shadows if I pick more than one shadow to use them in the crease. I feel it kind of turns muddy, and I just had to blend for a very long time. And this shade, it's like, as you can see, you just can't see, very tiny pale pink is what you see. But when I first applied the shade, it actually popped so beautifully. But on the side as well, it's very much faded. Now let me just break the look down for you guys. I have this olive green in the inner corner, and I have this forest green in the center of the eyelids, and then I have the pink in the outer corner, and then I have these two shades in the crease completely. And I feel the green in the center of the lid has like I don't know, mixed with the crease shade, and they've all become one shade. Of course, they're all of the same family, a color family, like blues and greens, but I feel they should have stayed distinct to their true color. I don't know what to say. I feel that next time I use these eyeshadows palettes, I would just pick one shade for the crease and just stick with that. I don't think mixing these highly pigmented shades would be a good idea, at least for me, because I feel the end result is kind of muddy. But on the eyelids, they perform very well because they are very pigmented, and you need to be very careful with this black shade, because it will change your look from very normal to very crazy in seconds, because it's very pigmented. And I feel I had to spend more time with blending. It didn't leave behind harsh lines, but I feel it kind of turned muddy in my crease. That's the only complaint I have with these shadows. They are very crazy pigmented, which would be best for you if you use this eyeshadow on the eyelids. But for crease, I feel that the shades should kind of retain their original color. But when you mix and match shades, and when you want to blend two shades in the crease and create a beautiful new color, they need to come up with a new, it has to mix well and come up with a new shade. instead of kind of turning muddy, and that's, I feel I'm not exactly happy with my crease color. It kind of has become muddy. Anyways, that's the only downside. Maybe if you buy these, you might have a different opinion. It's just maybe it could also be my makeup skill level. Maybe it's pretty mediocre, I don't know. So yeah, if you're interested in these, please do try, because they are very pigmented eyeshadows. Now if I want to if you want to just pick one, I like the blue one over this. Although this has two silvers and I feel on dark skin they are distinctly different. Do you see how this, especially the olive toned one, is very, very, very beautiful. And all of them, I like the blue palette, which is called Smartorial, over the pink palette, because I see the pink palette has too many. I have like 3 like pops of color to work with. The rest are very, very, you know, light. But here you have I like all these first 5 shades. This is good as well. There's just one straight up white, which is, I probably may not find a lot of use, but all the I like the mix of colors in this. So if you want to pick up one palette, I'd suggest Smartorial over Provocouture. So yeah, if you're really curious, pick them up, see if you liked it. But personally, I'm not very over the moon about these, the formulation. I think they are the best if you just use all of these shades on the eyelid and just choose one shade for the crease. Because I feel if you mix and match shades for your to use in the crease, I feel they kind of turn muddy, at least for me, on my skin tone. So yeah, that's my review, and that's my thought on these palettes. Hope you guys found this video useful. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked watching it, and please subscribe. Bye.